My name is Karmen. It's difficult to express how my ambitions, desires, and actions led me into such deep darkness, but perhaps this personal confession can be an opportunity to tell my story. It all started with Vincent. Yes, the old, wealthy but blind man. When I first met Vincent, I was dazzled by his wealth. Marrying him seemed like a gateway to the bright life I had always dreamed of. I knew very well how to look beautiful and play the role of a loving wife, and Vincent was always naive and fragile. The first time I spoke to him at the company, when I expressed my admiration and interest, it wasn't hard at all. He couldn't see me with his eyes, but he thought he saw my heart, or rather, the little fake world I offered him. But in reality, nothing was as Vincent imagined. My heart actually belonged to someone else. Max. My childhood love from the neighborhood. The boy who filled my dreams. Max was my soul, my thrill. But just being connected to him wasn't enough. I wanted more. Money, luxury, that dazzling world I longed for. Max couldn't give me that life, but Vincent could. The hidden plan behind marrying Vincent was precisely that. I would use his blindness to get the life I wanted. While living in luxury with Vincent's wealth, I would also maintain my relationship with Max. Max and I had planned everything down to the smallest detail. We would exploit Vincent's weaknesses, his trust, and his vulnerability. It was a game, a script, and I was the lead actress. Max was always willing to be part of this game. The promise I made to him was clear. One day, with what we took from Vincent, we would build our own life. A world where the money and luxury were ours, where we could live freely. Max was deeply attached to this dream. He had never been able to hold down a job, and perhaps he was relying on my desire for this wealthy life. He believed we could change both our lives by using Vincent. One day, I came up with the idea of bringing Max into Vincent's house as an employee. After all, Vincent was blind, and earning his trust wasn't hard. Max acted like a reliable helper at home, and Vincent soon began to trust him. We built a complex game around Vincent's blindness. Max and I were living off this wealth in a way that Vincent could never see. While I played the role of the faithful wife, I shared moments with Max, laughing madly. Max and I created our own world within every corner of Vincent's house, with our secret meetings. At first, exploiting his blindness felt like nothing more than a fun game. From his study to every other room, the thrill of being together secretly and the fear of getting caught brought us even closer. The excitement we indulged in amid Vincent's silence reached another level, intoxicated both by the forbidden nature of it and the luxury it brought. Sometimes Vincent would hear Max working in the backyard while I shared a brief secret moment with Max in the kitchen. In those moments, the possibility of being caught only heightened the thrill. When Max's strong arms wrapped around me, knowing that Vincent was wandering blindly through the house gave us a sense of control. It felt like the world was ours, and Vincent was just a blind figure in our game. Continuing my secret adventures with Max while maintaining my role as Vincent's loving wife gave me an enormous thrill. The more I pushed the boundaries, the more certain I was that Vincent would never suspect. But I could never foresee that fateful day that would change everything. One afternoon, while Vincent was home alone, he fell down the stairs and hit his head. At that moment, I was in the bedroom with Max, and we flinched when we heard Vincent scream. I quickly hid Max in a secret corner and rushed to Vincent's side. I tried to calm him, held his head, but Vincent said nothing to me. The blur in his eyes was slowly fading, but I was unaware of it. Vincent had miraculously started to see again, but he told no one. He didn't reveal that he could see because he was suspicious. From that moment on, Vincent began to watch everything. The games Max and I played, our betrayals in every corner of the house, our secret moments. His eyes saw everything, but he remained silent. He let us continue with our games while he prepared his plan for revenge. When Vincent regained his sight, It wasn't just about seeing again. This time, he could see the truth as well. Max and I had let ourselves get carried away, thinking we had everything under control. Vincent watched patiently, waited, and planned his revenge step by step. One night, after spending an evening in our bedroom with Max, I thought Vincent was sleeping in the next room. Suddenly I noticed Vincent standing at the door. He had seen me for the first time, but what he saw was a dagger that shattered the innocent world he had built. He silently left the room, and I could only stare after him in empty fear. His silence was like the calm before the storm. From that day on, Vincent's plans for revenge began. First, he canceled all my credit cards and took control of my spending. He slowly stripped away all the luxury in the house, limiting and weakening me. Max faced an even worse fate. First, he was thrown out of the house, and then Vincent hired detectives to ruin his life. Max was plunged into debt overnight and ended up on the streets. Vincent locked me in that grand house that once embraced me with love, like a bird in a cage. But this time, there was a new twist. Vincent took everything further. One day, he stood in front of me and said coldly, "Karmen, I could tell everyone what you've done. I could destroy you. But I'm not letting you go that easily. From now on, you're nothing but a servant in this house. You will clean every corner of this luxurious life you once longed for." He turned me into a servant in the very house I once ruled. Now, in Vincent's house, I'm nothing more than someone who works at his every whim, watching his luxurious life from afar. This house, which I once believed to be the realization of my shining dreams, is now a dark and cold prison. As Vincent's anger grew, I diminished. The thrill I had with Max was replaced by the harsh reality Vincent made me live every day. Vincent didn't just use me as a servant, he controlled every aspect of my life. Every morning, as soon as I woke up, he would list his orders, belittling me for the smallest mistake, crushing my pride. He expected everything in the house to be perfect, and at every opportunity, he reminded me that this life was the result of my own choices. Vincent began inviting guests. Friends, business partners would come, and I was just a servant. Vincent would grandly give me orders in front of them. While I worked in the kitchen, I repeatedly told myself that I was once the lady of this house, but now I existed only as a servant. What happened to Max was even worse. He had started living on the streets due to his debts, with nothing left to hold on to in life. One day, I got a call from Max. His voice was weak, desperate, and lost. "Karmen, I still love you. Even in this state, I can't forget you," he said. But I couldn't help him. Vincent was watching my every move. Max's desperation left a huge void inside me, but even that void couldn't change anything anymore. The last thing Vincent said to me echoes in my ears. "Karmen, I should never have opened my eyes to someone like you. You were a mistake, someone who mistook my darkness for light." Then I understood that Vincent wouldn't just punish me, he would destroy my entire life. I lost everything. Vincent's love, Max, my wealth, even my self-respect. Now I live in this desolate, large house, listening to the silence. Maybe telling this story is an attempt to confess what I've done, but I know that sometimes even an apology is meaningless. The dazzling dream that once captivated me is now nothing more than a descent into darkness. With this confession, I accept the truth. My ambition destroyed me, and I paid a heavy price for that dazzling dream.